Hello, my name is Cindy McDaniel, and I am going to be talking about the fine arts and why it should be funded more. Now, to start off, Americans for the Arts, an organization that fully supports the arts, explains that in 2015, students who participated in music for 4 or more years have proved to score better on their SAT scores by 92 points. And I will show a picture of that graph in just a second.
Now looking at the graph, you can see that the fine arts students scored slightly better than non-arts kids. It may not be as much, but it's still an improvement.
Before elaborating on the causes and effects, I'm going to put in a clip of whenever I interviewed a fellow band and choir student, Arabella Martichenko. Let's hear what she has to say.
I'm Arabella Martichenko.
Alright, and what is your involvement in the fine arts?
I'm in band and choir.
Okay. Why did you join?
Because I thought that it would be really fun to play. Okay, so first I joined band because I thought it would be fun to play the flute because it's just a really pretty instrument. It is. And I joined choir because, well, actually I didn't really choose to. My mom put me in it. But I ended up really liking it, so that's why I'm still in it.
Do you think the schools have issues regarding funding the fine arts?
Yes. I know some students can't afford to buy, a quality tuba. Because those are really expensive.
Like $10,000.
So, yeah, it would really help, I feel like, the students in the band as a whole if the school could offer some financial support in buying instruments that have a quality sound.
Yeah, I agree. I like that. So do you think the arts are important?
Yes, I think the arts are important.
Why do you think they're important?
It allows for a well-rounded education. It gives them a creative outlet, and they meet so many different people that they may have never met if they weren't included in the fine arts.
Would you say that's a safe haven for them?
Yeah, it's like a home away from home.
Yeah,
and
kind of like a place to escape.
Yeah.
I like that. Do you think the fine arts has benefited you in any way?
Yes. Like I said, it's a creative outlet, and I meet so many different people that I never would have talked to because I don't talk a lot to people.
Me too.
But yeah, in my section alone, I have 14 people that I've met that I would have probably never spoken to if I weren't included in band.
That. Thanks for letting me interview you.
Yep.
Alright, for causes and effects. The first cause is that there is not enough staff. I know that here at Triad, we do not have a middle school choir director, and so that means our current choir director, Mrs. Remiger, at the high school, has to go back and forth in between the high school and the middle school almost on a daily basis, and having teachers do that in general can just put a lot of stress on it, and I don't think it gives students the opportunity for a fair and good education. The second cause would be not being able to purchase quality instruments. Students need good instruments so they don't get frustrated whenever they play a cheaper quality instrument, per se. Because let's say a student is very skilled at their instrument, but they have a cheap instrument. They can get to a point where they're great and they want to keep on going forward, but that instrument will then hold them back. And that's why they need better instruments so that doesn't happen, and so they don't end up getting frustrated and quit the program. Now, I already talked about one failed solution, the staffing problem, but now I'm going to talk about the second failed solution, which is fundraising. Fundraising does save money, just like how cutting down on staff saves money, but there are way more disadvantages than advantages. The advantages, of course, are you get more money, but the advantages are that it's just being overused, and eventually that people are going to not want to buy your stuff anymore. So it can just get a little annoying every year. So we need an alternate method of getting more money. Now I'm going to be introducing Mrs. Remiger, the Triad High School choir director, and she's going to be giving her thoughts and opinions on the fine arts regarding fundraising.
Hi, my name is Linda Remiger Bruce, and I'm the choral director at Triad High School and Triad Middle School.
How long have you been teaching?
Well, actually, I started teaching piano when I was a sophomore in high school, and that's when I began teaching. And then I actually started teaching in schools. The first school I taught was in Germany. I taught at a music school in Germany. I taught music theory, and music theory is what I was hired for in Germany. Yeah, it was awesome. And then I came back to the States and taught in a private school, and then I've been in Triad, so a total of a lot of years. At least, we'll say in institutions, about 30.
Oh, wow. What made you want to teach music in the first place?
That's a really long story, and I'll try to make it as short as possible.
Okay.
So when I was deciding which career path I wanted to go, I really thought I wanted to be a collaborative pianist, which is an accompanist, okay, but that's the new name for it. And I was offered an assistantship at SIUE to be their collaborative pianist at the master's level, and at the same time was teaching part-time at an all-girls school in St. Louis, and I found out that I love teaching more.
Do you think the arts have a funding problem?
The arts are always going to have a funding problem, I believe. We were concerned that it's, athletics that we're taking over. I do believe that our new, I don't want to say competitor, but also technology is going to offer challenges in terms of keeping the arts funded, because there's just so many areas that need money now. And so arts has always been on the chopping block, the first to go, and it'd be nice to see it change, but...
Why do you think that it's a problem?
I don't know if this is perhaps the reason, but I do think this could be a component. Athletics are competitive. Technology is competitive. The arts aren't necessarily based on competition. The arts are based on their beauty. And the world without music would be a completely different ballgame. Should I say ballgame now? It would be completely different. And until people realize what kind of world it is, perhaps we should have a no arts day in the whole nation. No arts. You can't play your radio. No entertainment day. You can't play your TV because there's music in the background of that. Visual. There's so much of it in every day, and yet people don't realize it because it's there every day, and yet we don't realize that in order to have that, we have to be educating our citizens to produce that.
What do you think could be done about this?
I think the people in power have to be very, very, very pro-arts. From the top down. They have to be pro-arts. When the person in the lead takes the stance that we are not going to erase the humanity in our civilization, there will be a difference. But politicians, educators, everybody, especially the ones who foot the bills, make that decision.
And that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Now, before hearing my proposed solution, let's hear another interview that I conducted with Mr. Kevin Devaney, the Triad High School band director, and let's see what he has to say, because I think he has some very important things to say as well.
I'm Kevin Devaney, KevDev824 on Instagram. I teach high school band at Triad High School.
How long have you been teaching?
13 years.
What made you want to teach music?
My older brother and a lot of the great teachers I had, they were really inspiring, and they made me fall in love with it. I really love teaching high school students because I love this period in their life. So they go from being a kid to being a young adult to making a decision on what they want to do with the rest of their lives. So
Do you think the arts has a funding problem?
Yes.
Why?
I think a lot of times, a lot of it is put on the students and their families to come up with ways in our district and our organization, and not just our organization, but all over the place. And I think of a lot of ways, it lacks appreciation from people who have not experienced true art or who have done it. So a lot of people make decisions, or I'm not talking about necessarily in tried, but like a lot of people who make decisions about the arts a lot of times are in positions where maybe their only experience is attending a concert that their grade school teacher took them to, or musical or things like that. So I think a lot of times they're overlooked, or we're not as looked at as valuable as much because of just the lack of knowledge that leaders have from their lack of experience.
What do you think could be done about this problem?
The lack of funding?
Yeah.
Well, I think to be honest, I think myself as an educator and a lot of people who are in my shoes, we could do a lot better job educating our administrators, our communities, and I think at Triad we do really work hard to advocate and educate the importance of music education. So,
What's your favorite part of teaching?
Teaching. The teaching aspect of it.
Cool.
That's like 10% of my job. So.
That's all I had.
Cool.
Thank you.
You bet.
Alright, now my proposed solution is educating the district and others who are in charge of money, whether that be the state or the district or whoever. But they need to be educated on the importance of the fine arts in students' lives, because they need to know how it affects them, and that you can do a lot of things with it. Anthony Mazzucci, he graduated from the music school in Manhattan. He actually talks about on his blog how school systems are still stuck in the mindset of you need to take these courses because they will get you a job and you don't need to take these ones. But that's a bit outdated, because nowadays you can get a good, fulfilling career with music. It's not just a fun hobby, you can also have a job with it, but that's besides the point. They just need to know that the arts need to be funded more and not to be cut. Now, advantages of this solution are that the people in charge of money, they will now know the importance of the arts in a student's life. Because like Rem said, just think about it. Music is in everybody's daily lives. If you went a day without music, you couldn't use your phone, couldn't use the radio, couldn't do a lot of things, you couldn't watch the TV. And other advantages include the ones in charge realize the importance. Arts will get more funding. And if the fine arts continue to exist, more test scores will continue to improve, along with the graduation rates will be still increasing. Now, here are some disadvantages. Even if we educate the district or ones in charge of money, they just might not care. But then there's nothing you can do about that. You can't really go into someone's mind and change it. You can try to persuade them all you want, but if they don't care, they don't care. Now, do I think this solution is feasible? Yes, I think it's very feasible. If you can persuade someone, you can get what you want. In conclusion, the fine arts need to be funded more. If they are not funded more, there will be less great musicians and artists out in the world. And I don't think a lot of people just really realize it, but the world is made up with music, and without it, it would be very different. So people need to realize that it is important and that it needs to be funded more. Thank you for your time.